2, 3, 4.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Power of Music Thinking. My name is Christoph Zürn, and this is the podcast for people with a musical heart and a wicked job. We're looking for stories, insights and tools from the big world of music to inspire leaders and followers to listen, tune, play and perform in whatever field you're operating. Welcome to a new year of the Power of Music Thinking. This is our first episode of the year, and today we are diving deep into how sound can make a difference for brands. We speak with Willemijn van Hussen, a trained concert pianist, strategy consultant, co-founder and owner of sonic branding agency TAMBR. We talk about the power of our senses and how sound can make a difference in recognizing a brand and what it stands for. Willemijn shares with us insights from an audio branding project with a sonic logo, brand anthem, and different sound assets that are used strategically. Among others, we hear the brand anthem of Lazy Vegan and how this might be different from other brands in the industry. And Willemijn gives tips for students who work on sound assignments and for brands that want to make a start with sonic branding. And to get into the mood, this is an example from Dutch brand Weekamp and their fashion days. Welcome, Willemijn. Welcome to the Power of Music Thinking.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Willemijn, I always start the episodes with one question, and here it comes. What was your most memorable sonic experience or album or maybe also live performance that had an impact on you?
Yeah, it was when it's a long time ago, I think. It's 20 years ago, something like that. And I was a strategy consultant working late hours and always working, actually. And I had forgotten the passion of music making actually a little bit because I just didn't have the time. But I went to a concert in the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam, Rachmaninoff piano concerto number 2. And I was there in a hurry. I was almost late working from Rotterdam and driving to Amsterdam. And I was just getting seated and I had dinner in the car, I remember. And I was so... Yeah, it was all very hectic, and then it just overwhelmed me. And then I thought, I completely forgot about the power of music and about how much I love music and how much I want to be part of this scene. So then I quit my job, actually. So
wow.
I went back to doing something with music, and my experience as a economist or a marketeer, yeah. So to combine those two things and never ever forget music again. Yeah,
that's funny. So we could say a concert changed your career in that sense.
Yeah, maybe it did. And I remember me crying in the Concertgebouw quietly, of course. But I was like, yeah, this is my life. I already knew when I was very young that I really love music, and I was playing with an orchestra, and I played the piano, and we had a concert and it was broadcasted on national television, and we were on our way back in the bus. And I remember thinking, I was 13 or 14. Wow, I love this world. I love these people. I love the world which I'm in. So I would like to do this for my whole life. Yeah.
So you played piano in the orchestra, or what instrument did you play?
Yeah, it was a piano, and we had a youth orchestra in Rotterdam. It was quite good, actually. I think maybe 60 or 70% of the people in the orchestra are now professional musicians.
Wow.
So that's really great. We traveled a lot with this orchestra. We went to Russia, we went to Eastern Europe several times, we went to France, etc. And we also played on national television sometimes. They had special arrangements for me for some symphonic works, but also I played as a soloist. So I played a Mozart piano concerto, I can remember, and some other concertos. Yeah, and I played a lot of cembalo, with violinists in Baroque music. So that's what I did actually. Yeah.
Wow. So you were playing on a very high level. And I think it's nice that you mention if you play a piano or keys in an orchestra, you're one of a kind, because most of the other instruments, as long as they're not solo, are working together. So they're little teams, the violins or the horns.
Yeah, I was there all by myself in the back of the orchestra, or when I played as a soloist in front. But but we also with the cembalo, of course, you're more apart, and the violinist surrounds you, and you really are part of the basso continuo. So
Yeah, wow. Beautiful. So, and then you went into consulting as a strategy consultant. What was it, more economic strategy, or what did you do?
Yeah, it was a strategy, high-level strategy for airlines, for instance, or fabric, large brands of clothing, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, but because I went to study economics instead of going to the university, I went the conservatory. I went to the conservatory for a couple of years to combine it with my study of economics, but it was a little bit too much. So I finished my economics and then went working into strategy consulting for around 3 or 4 years, I think. Yeah.
Okay, and then came Rachmaninoff
Then came Rachmaninoff, and then I worked for a strategy consulting in the cultural sector for a short period of time, but quickly I went to start my own company. Yeah, yeah.
So in the Power of Music Thinking podcast, we're looking to, let's say, to the world from different perspectives. We all know we're multisensory persons, but most of the time our vision is the, let's say, the main attraction. So also brands, companies, they first talk about the pictures and how everything looks like. And but if you're also parallel a musician, then you see and hear and feel many different things, and that's why I think let's dive a little bit into it, because now you're doing something where I would say you would combine everything that you've done before in your job. So
so that's true. We look at brands and how they sound. Yeah, and we thought brands can sound much better. They take a lot of effort into how they look, but they don't take a lot of effort into how they sound. They pick some stock music and they just do something, or they edit. They have really bad edits in their campaigning and that kind of stuff. So I always heard that it wasn't perfect, and I thought it could be better. And also for the composers and producers producing the commercial music, I thought it can be they can be more involved. Instead of just composing music for just one campaign, wouldn't it be nicer if they can be really part of the brand and make the music for a long term?
Yeah.
So, that they have more time to think about how they can translate the brand into a unique sound, and how the brand can use it in all different types of content.
Absolutely. And it's also a little bit a parallel in the visual world in that part. So I worked for an identity agency quite some time, and working from the digital department. And we always thought about what's the identity of a website or the identity of any digital product. And there most of the time it starts with the logo. It's on the left side, on the right side, or somewhere in the middle. And after a few seconds, you just scroll. So the logo is gone. So the question then for us was also like, do we still know on what side we are? Because we know that consumers maybe have, I don't know if people are listening now to us, they might have this too, that they have 10 or 15 different tabs open. And sometimes you don't know which is which. And the logo is above. And that's what then identity means. But in the sense where you're focusing on is, how do you call it?
It's called sonic branding. Sonic branding, and you don't even see a logo, of course, because much of the items that brands communicate with are without visuals. So radio commercials, podcasts, as we are now in, digital radio, but also all types of videos. Where for the start you can place your logo, but it's gone. And then you hear some very bad stock music and you don't know who you're looking at, actually, which brand you're looking at. Is it Albert Heijn or Jumbo, or you don't remember?
Right, but they're famous. They're famous examples.
Famous examples, but they don't always do it right also. But especially less famous brands are not recognizable at all in sound. So we thought, let's change that. It should be reachable for anybody to have a good sound, and also for the people hearing it. It should be nicer, and for the people composing it, it should be very good. Yeah.
And there's a lot of research about it. So if you do this strategically, but you might know more than I. So the recall of sound is much higher than if just visuals, right?
Yeah, for brand recognition, sound is 8 times better than visual, than a logo. I think smell is even better, but it's really hard. That's really hard to have as a brand. Yes, because when you walk in the streets and you smell sausages like the rookworst, like Unox, or maybe Hema, then you have a lot of associations in your brain. And maybe you want to buy it immediately, when you hear something, it's also a lot of associations and a lot of spots in your brain that's involved. But even more, I think it's with smell. But it's really hard to have that when you have no physical locations as a brand. It's hard to produce an own smell, but an own sound. You use sound everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your Insta Reels, in your TikTok, in your YouTube channel, in your stores, on the radio, etc. So sound is everywhere. So you should do that right. Okay. Yeah.
So there are different ways how to do this, but maybe just start with the logo or the sonic logo. So if you think about McDonald's, maybe some people already know how this would sound. The da 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 da, and it's funny if everybody can sing it that maybe never sung, but you can recall that this is that brand, and that's the power of sonic branding. Or maybe one of the TikTok, for example, I found very interesting, because in the research they found out that a lot of people are sharing TikTok also on other platforms. And so they did at the end their sonic logos so that you actually can hear where it came from. And that's the power.
Intel inside, the computers, the computer chip makers that have their own sonic logo, Intel inside, and they asked all computer fabricants to put the logo at the end of every commercial, which is really smart.
Right.
They didn't have to do any advertising themselves, but their sonic logo was really, really good. So everybody recognizes Intel.
But let's let's hear what you are doing. So, and maybe first we talked about the logo, but what is there more about brand identity?
Yeah, like the McDonald's song, as you sung it, the McDonald's, the sound logo is just a little bit of a song. It used to be a song and a whole song. And the Sonic logo is part of this song. And we start usually also with a brand anthem. So it's a larger piece of music that we can deduct all kinds of assets from, sonic assets. So there are loops you can put on your videos, or there are intros for podcasts, that kind of stuff. But it's all from the same family. So that's there's
So
more.
you
That's the
so you
sound.
said brand anthem. So this would be a short song. Would it be a 3-minute song or
Yeah,
much
something like
shorter?
2 or 3 minutes. Yes, and you can use different parts of it. You can, and we also take care. There's a build up in the song that there are parts that are more relaxed and parts more exciting. So you can have all types of content that you can use the song for, and then you have this sonic library, as we call it. And then you can score maybe 80% of your content, and for the last 20% in which you really want the music to have a real effect on storytelling, etc., then you compose something new, but in the same idea as you had decided when you went to the strategic process. So we have we for each brand we have their home composer, like you could say. So we select a composer that can that really understands the brand. We brief them, and then they will be with this brand for a couple of years to make all their music. So then you get, like the Beatles have all kinds of songs, and it's about all kinds of subjects, and it's happy or it's sad or it's quiet or it's really loud, but you always hear that's the Beatles. So this is what we want to do with brands, so they know who they are as an artist, and then we select an artist for them, and they compose their music for a lot of years.
Shall we listen to an example?
Yeah, you can.
I ask you to bring some examples. So, which one would you like to start with?
Let's take a real small brand. It's called Lazy Vegan, and I really love it. It's one of our last projects, and they have a mascot. So they have an animal, a sloth, because it's lazy, and they make all kinds of content with this animal. And what they're telling is, you can have a real good meal, good life, the easy way. That's how they say it. You can have a real good meal, take care of the planet, take care of yourself, and it's ready in 8 minutes. And you can have a real wonderful life besides cooking. And we made a lazy sound, and we also made the sounds of the sloth. And we looked into how sloths really sound, and they don't really have a distinctive sound. So we made something up like in comic characters. We made a sound for this animal, and I really love it. So that's also yeah, it's Vinny the sloth, and he's making these funny sounds, and he's humming while cooking his meal, and relaxing and surfing all day, or just DJing, or relaxing and doing yoga, and in the meantime he prepares a lovely meal for himself. So that's the kind of content that this is for. And yeah, it was really nice to dive into this brand, because this brand is, yeah, I think it's really complete in how they
Yeah.
think about what they do. And yeah, it was a little far-fetched maybe for them to also dive into the sound in this very strategic way, but I'm so happy they did, because it really
Right.
all adds up. And yeah.
So what we heard was this bass line, and I think it was really cool. So if you wouldn't tell me that it's just lazy, so it's laid back, it's like you really can imagine a
Yeah, it's more
person or
like
a
you are in
character.
control. You are in control. That's what
Right. You're cool, but you're in control and
you're
you're
in
moving
control.
forward. And from time
Yeah.
to time, it comes this, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, it's
and
not, just a sloth. Yeah, and also he's humming in a language that you don't understand. Way owazi kua. I don't know. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. But it's also a bit weird, and that's really important that it stands out. That it's not just something that it shouldn't sound like any stocky music. It's really
right.
tailor-made for this brand, and I hope they will be on radio also in the future. And you're like, wow, what am I hearing here? What's this? What is it? Sound logo is actually also there. That's the sound logo.
Right. Now, okay. So that's the sound logo. So
Yeah,
so without
yeah,
the cool thing, maybe
yeah.
also good
The
to.
cool thing is in it. It's a 2 minute 2 seconds part. It's a boom boom, and then yeah, it's a
Oh
little
yeah.
part of the. I can send you later so you
Oh,
can.
that's cool. So you need the boom boom. So that's the bass. That's the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That you need the whole palette of the sounds, of course, because we believe you have your own timbre, your own sound color, and
Yeah.
it all adds up. So it's the bass line, it's the guitar, it's the voice, it's everything. That's your sound. That's how you sound. Yeah.
I like the timbre. That's also, by the way, the name of your company.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so the sound
Phonetically,
colors.
phonetically spelled TAMBR. Yeah, it's a little bit funny, but
And
yeah,
I like that very much, and because it's also linked with the orchestra. So if you have a melody played by a violin and you have the same melody played by the horns, it's still the same melody, but the
yeah,
timbre, the sound color is different. And that's also our identity. We might say the same things, but it sounds different when I say it or when
yeah.
someone else says it.
Yeah, my voice is different than my sister's voice, for instance. It doesn't. It's not much difference, but there's a difference, and people can hear it. So with timbre or sound color, you can have millions and millions of different sound colors, and we only have 12 notes, to
Yeah.
compose with, but we have many sound colors, many instruments, many sounds that we can paint with. Actually,
Yeah.
if you would say, yeah,
And it's also quite modern because I just did the example from the orchestra, but with electronic instruments and with
yes.
sampling, we have the whole world. Every
But you
sound
can
can be a
combine
color.
things. You can combine things. For one brand, we had the combined the clarinet with a synthesizer, and we have a whole new. We made a whole new sound. So
Yeah, a
yeah,
whole new identity.
a whole
But
new identity. Yeah.
I would like to cycle back a little bit because we just heard this lazy tune, the brand anthem. But what was the briefing? Because and I just want to share with you, I'm also teaching at the University of Applied Science in Utrecht, and there's a course about the power of sound,
Mhm.
and the students have to come up with a sound strategy, and we tell them that before they do anything, they really have to understand the brand. So to really find out what's the vision, the mission, the values, and then you get that briefing and then you bring it together in a strategy. So my question to you is this, how are you working?
We never work on a briefing, actually. So we go in and we have a workshop with our client. And of course, they have their brand values. They might have some associations some brain associations that they find important. But for us, it's we really have to dive deep into this brand and also in musical terms. So we ask them, for instance, how would your brand, if it was a person, how would it walk? Would it walk slowly or fast? Or how would it dance? If you would meet him in a bar and you're dancing, how would your brand dance? On what kind of music? Or where can we find your brand? Is it in the Alps, in the open in open skies, or is it in a living room, or in your bedroom, or where? So we really want to find hooks, musical hooks, and we really dive deep into this brand. And if we just have a brand book or a brand key, that's not enough for us. We really have to make it personal and to really understand why the brand differs from other brands. Because if you get things like we're trustworthy, we cannot translate that into sound. But when someone says, well, if you touch the brand, it's soft, but but there's something hard inside. We're self-confident, but yet friendly. That kind of things we can translate into sound, and we have also designed our own algorithm in which we can translate human feelings or associations, brand associations, to musical characteristics. So that helps us a lot to find music, to make a mood board, or to design sound. This is just, and so we're really data driven also, and marketeers like us because of that, because we can have real good discussions on. You can make choices in music. We say this is a more friendly sound, but you also told us that you are very modern. So we cannot do both in one song. Maybe this is not the best example, because I think we can. But if there are two things that are a little bit conflicting, then you can have a real good discussion. If you want to have it really friendly, maybe you are not modern enough, So then let's hear what it sounds if you're really, really modern.
Yeah.
And let's hear what it sounds if you're really, really friendly. And then let's see how far we can go to combine those things. And you have to make a real informed choice about what you want for your brand.
I like that.
Those are really nice discussions. Yeah. And brand marketeers or brand marketeers always tell us this was really nice because we take another look on our brand again, and we have such a nice metaphor as music to think about our brand.
Wow. What I like really much that workshopy thing, because every company that is serious working on their mission, their vision, and their values, and sometimes there's hours and a lot of money involved into write this down. But then if you want to bring it to life, you have to some kind of re-engineer it. And I like very much that you say okay, how would you walk? Because in the way you walk, you could show, is it modern, what you just mentioned, or is it old-fashioned? Is it quick? Is it slow? Is it big? Is it so you can in the way to bring it to life, you can easily also connect what they always wanted.
Yeah.
because often you hear from, oh, wow, that's exactly what we mean. And we all know, but that's not what's written here.
Well, yeah, it's true. And also, this is just one question. How do you walk? We have all kinds of other questions. And we prepare by looking at we only ask, send us your brand book. And we also have an online questionnaire. They can fill that out. It will take them like 5 minutes That's it. That's all our input. And we look on the website, we look at all their content, and then we make a deck and we go there and have a presentation on how we look at the brand, and then we go dive deeper, much
Right.
deeper.
But that means also for the marketeer, I can imagine that they really need your, let's say, your review and your observation, how you see their brand. Also to see from what's the logo, what are the colors, how do they use it? Is it consistent? Is it inconsistent? Because if you don't debrief this to them, you might lose them and you're just the music guy. So
yeah, it's true. So we're really into branding, and we're really specialists in branding as well, because I told you I have a marketing background, and my partner also was in strategic marketing sometimes. So we really know a lot about how brands work and how brands work in the brain and how music works in the brain. So we can really advise them very well, and also on a branding perspective. Yeah, we're not just some music specialist. We really combine the two. Yeah.
yeah, right.
So, and the workshop is also that we get the right information. If we get a brief, we don't know if we have the right information, if we really understand what's written there, you know? So I'm not very fond of briefings. No.
Yeah, it depends. It depends also on the company, because a lot of people have to work with it, and different agencies also have to synchronize with each other. I heard a story about an agency that was asked to come up with a new visual identity. And in their workshops, they made the decision to start with audio, with sound, and just talk about how would it work, what would it do. And then they came with the right sound direction, and then later they translated it to visual sound. So it's the other way around, like we hear it now.
Really cool.
And they told me that they had a lot of less rework, because it was so clear. I would say, or I would interpret it was so clear from the beginning. It felt so good that the visual part was easier to visualize, instead of that you just try to sonify stuff that they more or less intentionally have put out in the last years.
Yeah, that would be a real nice world in which we start with the sound. But many clients, of course, they start with how they look, and then design their sound. But the other way around, the music first methodology would be really effective, because I think music, everybody feels it, you know. And when you have words to describe these feelings, and we can help them with that, then you have your visual brief also, because if you say something is warm, you also know what to do with colors, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and at the very end, it has to go together. So maybe that we can advocate for this, or if people listen or share this episode with someone, why not try to start with sound first, and then see what it will be. Nice.
Yeah, we work with some design agencies also very closely together for rebrandings, and we work together. So the first workshop is of us together for a client. So
very good. One question about let's say the decision-making unit. That links a little bit what I just mentioned with the course that we're doing, and helping students to develop also their listening skills, their hearing skills, and also if they later go into organizations, that they can be at least maybe a sound advocate. That would be nice, but maybe at least a sound expert, someone understanding that 8 times higher brand recognition and what this can do for a sound. My question would be, what would be the decision-making unit in an organization? Is it always the same? Is it always the brand manager, the CEO, or who do you see a clear pattern of different roles on the table?
Yes, it usually starts with the brand manager, and the brand manager is part of the marketing team. And there's a CMO, so the chief marketing officer. That's also someone who can start this process. And then you have the agency, because some CMOs, some marketing teams are more dependent on their agencies than others. And agencies, you have to get them in the process as well, because they will have to work with the sound, right?
Yeah.
So that's the decision making. I would say that's the decision making triangle. It's CMO, brand manager, agency. Yeah.
And it depends of if it's a big company or a small company. There might be different variations, but the roles that you just mentioned are, I think, pretty.
And sometimes we have the agency that has the lead for us, or sometimes it's the CMO, sometimes it's the brand manager, and yeah, not very, not that much that someone like a content manager or someone engaged with the campaigns contacts us. It's usually the CMO, brand manager, or the agency. Yeah.
Right. And that's also links us a little bit like audio touch points. So that's these are the moments of different moments where you see, touch, or in our case, also listen to them. So, and there might be also someone responsible for a certain touch point.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes we do sonic branding, so that's strategic. So that's for the whole brand, for all touch point. But sometimes the entry point might be a radio commercial, and they are asking us, how do we make a good radio commercial? And we know about that, so we make a lot of radio commercials as well. And maybe later in the process, they will ask us also to make their whole sonic strategy and also their whole sonic library. But it can start smaller, actually. Yes, that's true. It's not always a whole sonic branding case, but it could be just because you're for the first time on the radio, or you want to have better radio commercials, or yeah.
So you have to understand and the brand, where the brand stands for, and you have to understand where the brand is getting outside of the building, and where clients or consumers can interact with them.
Yeah, you have to do three things to have a proper sound. You have to have associations with the sound that fit with your brand. That's what we talked about. But also you have to stand out. So, for instance, on radio, you have to stand out from all the noise that's on the radio, and you have to be instantly recognizable. You have to have something weird or something really nice, or so. It has to stand out. And I don't know if you listen a lot to radio, but most of the radio commercials are the same, with the same kind of music, the same kind of voice, and it's all kind of one clutter. And you have to stand out from this clutter. So that's where also a good sound or a good voice, and voice is also sonic branding, choosing
Absolutely.
Your voice.
There's, in one of the earlier broadcasts, I spoke with Steve Keller, the audio alchemist. So he's, let's say, very famous guy in that area. And it was directly after the pandemic. And Steve, he was very much into that sonic racism. And I found this so interesting because, and I'll just react on your commercial statement, because sometimes you want to stand out and sometimes you see that people don't stand out. And if you want to convince people, you also have to resonate with people. And that was interesting that all the commercials were from white men, just what people should do. And the question was that some people don't even hear it. So if this is, and I like it with racism, sometimes and maybe that's a hard word, maybe let's play it a little bit down, but sometimes you don't even know what you do and how you do and what you leave out. And I think that's something that's so important. So it's not always standing out with the next big gimmick, but it's also, silence could also be a way in standing out if there's...
Really important. But it's just the bubble you're in, and it's also that's also why you hear that much musical cliches, if you would say, you could put it that way. It's not only in music that you have all these cliches. Listen to the radio. You hear whistling, you hear ukulele all the time, because that's what people think commercial music should sound like. Let's make a commercial. Okay, we use this male voice of 40 plus, and we use ukulele sound and whistling. So there's so much more, as I told you. Also in voices, there are timbres or tonal colors that are so different, and just use it. And we also always try to find new voices, or many brands have the same voice.
Yeah.
Also.
Why?
How can you recognize? There are millions of voices out there, and Yeah.
Interesting. I had a look on your list of companies you're working for, and I recognized some kind of pattern that let's say, many brands were also, let's say, more in the sustainability. Now, maybe sustainability is not good, but some of them are B corporations.
Sorry.
And I think the lazy vegan we just heard is also one of them. So my question would be, if we would have on one side, let's say, a Unilever brand, one of the brands from Unilever, and on the other side, a brand that really has brand values that are really connected to the product and not only just, let's say, made by consultants to come up with 5 words that they want to use. So is there a difference in the approach? And would they also sound different? Because otherwise, if there's nature and we have nature sounds and bird sounds and water, then it also would be the same. So how could they stand out? So how would you approach this?
I think in the smaller B Corp brands that we work for, usually the owner is still there. So it reflects also the personality of the owner more than with the larger brands. And it's easier to differentiate. Yeah, because they tend to take more risks. And that's also nice if they want to take risks. For corporate brands, you have to be more persuasive in ways that they should really think about how they can stand out and not stay in their own bubble, you know? You know what I mean? And but the people are... We also work for Campina, for instance. It's a large brand. But
we have a logo here.
Yeah. This logo really does it very well in recognizability. It was launched, I think, 2.5 years ago, and many people recognize it already. So that's really good. It's one of our best scoring sound logos in terms of recognizability. And the people there are also, it has a long history, company like that, but they really want to make a difference as well. The people working there are the same age as the people as I work with in the startups, and they want to make the difference as well. So it's more maybe a generation thing that the young people, the young marketeers we work for, they all want to make a difference in a good way. So I don't really see a difference in an approach in how we. It's a little bit more difficult to stand out, but we can do it as well. Yeah.
I like that you added the owner of, let's say, a smaller company, the B Corp. That's also we hear so much about authenticity. This brand has to be authentic. So, okay, what does it mean? You have to connect it with something where the brand wants to be authentic. So, and that's that could be the owner. And but do you know examples where the owner is, let's say, the brand voice? Then literally.
Coolblue.
Ah, okay.
Peter Zwart, the owner of Coolblue, he is the voice of many of their commercials. So
Nice.
and it's a large, it's a large company already. That's not a startup phase anymore. Yeah.
Oh, so that's cool. So let's not forget the owner to add them to the decision-making unit, depending on what kind of company it is. So you really have to understand that company and really understand what do they need, what do they want, what every role sitting on your table has a different thing that they have to do in the organization. At the very end, everything wants the same.
Yeah. And the owner should not be the only one deciding, I think, because he has his marketing team and people who are really capable of thinking about how you can do professional marketing. For instance, we're now working for a restaurant chain in the Netherlands, and we had a meeting last week. And with a very well-equipped marketing team. And at the end of the meeting, the owner came in for just 5 minutes, and he was like, "Oh, I like what you choose, but I like this one the best. But you decide, you know. But yeah, you have to have a kind of have him informed, and but sometimes the owner has more." To say, and he really wants to make the final decision all by himself, and I don't know if that's the good way to do it, but
Yeah. I also know many stories
Yeah.
about this, but let's not get into that. But good that we have an owner that understands it's not him alone,
Yeah.
that it's a team. And by the way, he pays the team to be better than he alone can be.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, but I like if the owner is still there, because you feel it in the brand. Yeah.
and it has to go together, so it's not one or the other. It's like everything has to come to make sense. All the senses have to make sense, and all the people in an organization. So thank you, Willemijn. Is there something that we didn't touch? So I think we into the audio branding, sonic branding, we really dove very much into it. So is there something that we forgot and that you think would be worthwhile to mention?
Yeah, I think it's important for us that we the composers and the producers, they're really at the heart of our company, and I think it's important that we have them for the long term with the brands, that they can compose for many years, and that's really different from what other companies do. So and I think our producers and composers really like that we do that. Yeah. So that's important for me, to treat them right, and to not just we don't do pitches. So we select a composer on their own sound and how we think they would fit with a brand character, and we don't say just give us a demo, and to another composer give us a demo, and the brand can decide which one it will be. So we are in charge of who's gonna do it. So yeah.
That sounds very much like you would form a band. You just come for the right voice. You just bring the people together, and you don't do, let's say, a checkbox of 10 things, and maybe later it will not will not work out.
Yeah.
Maybe one thing that now pops in my mind, because we hear the last month about AI, and I can imagine that some people now listening to us say, "Okay, composer, what else? I just go to the Suno or any AI thing." Do you have what's your take on this?
We use our algorithm, as I told you. So this is also AI to test our music, or to come up with nice ideas out of our own bubble. But we always let the composers compose the music themselves, because they come up with things that AI still can't. I think if you use AI, you get what you always got, right? So that's always the case with AI. But we can use it as to inform us on how it fits with certain brand values or something. So yes, we work with AI a lot. We're not afraid of it, and yeah.
Yeah, I like that very much, to really also do the testing, because that can be cheap. And you also have to do real life testing, yes, but you can do pre-tests. But I also like to understand that if you do a brainstorm, if you start a brainstorm with the AI, you cut off a lot of stuff, because you mentioned it literally. You if you get what you got, so that's something that I always also like. Nothing against AI, but really don't start with the machine. Start with your own imagination. Talk with people, get interactions, and be surprised. Be open for serendipity.
Yeah, my partner Niels has a really philosophical take on this. AI is used to design things from all kinds of information. People make things because they want to interact with other people. That's our basic instinct, as you would say. We want to connect, we want to be loved, we want to communicate. And that's not the intrinsic, how do you call it? How AI is designed. AI is designed to create something from which was. It's not to create something because it wants to be loved or something like that. So that's really a nice perspective, I think.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that interactive conversation between people. Thank you, Willemijn.
Thank you, Christophe.
Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate this, because listening is one of the top leadership skills, and I feel honored about this. It is my mission to find, create, and share inspirations for meaningful collaboration based on music analogies. If you want to support this, please subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating, or write a review on iTunes or Spotify. And more inspirations can be found on musicthinking.com. We have a blog, and you can download the Music Thinking Framework. And finally, I would love to hear your feedback. And if you need help with a business challenge, please reach out to me via email, podcast@musicthinking.com.